vampires, voodoo, sons of Satan, Egyptian gods. What do they all have in common? They all just cost me some money on Amazon. Hey YouTube, what goes on? And welcome back to Disavowed Action Figures. Doing something a little bit different for the channel tonight. We have the entire Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure wave, minus the one we didn't need, for BlackHeart. And we're going to go through and rank these figures from my least favorite to my favorite, as well as build the incredible Build-A-Figure, much anticipated BlackHeart. I've wanted a BlackHeart in my Marvel Legends collection for a very long time, multiple times, almost paying extra money to get that original version, but holding out hope, and that hope was almost achieved until it failed. HasLab occurred. I thought all hope was dashed, but yet here we are getting some figures that we were promised we'd get earlier. Didn't pan out, but now we're getting them in a wave that I think was unexpected. I don't think this was always planned. Who knows? I could be wrong. But yes, we went through and unboxed most of these over on Instagram at Disavowed_12. I did do an entire YouTube review of Dracula himself, and I kind of did like a little mini YouTube short review video on the Bloodstorm. All the rest I did unbox live on Instagram. Check that out. Eventually I'll move that over here on a weird vertical camera, vertical view here to the YouTube page, so it's all under one banner. But I was very excited to get these all in hand, all from Amazon. I got Dracula first. He randomly came in stock, and all the rest came in within the last week or two on Amazon as well. So looking forward to ranking these with all of you. Let me know in the comments down below, once you're done watching the video, what is your ranking of these 6 figures? I did not buy that Helverine of Vengeance figure. I didn't need it. I didn't read the storyline. Frankly, it didn't have a Build-A-Figure piece, so I wanted to save the money and not pick that up. Maybe down the road at an Ollie's or a Ross 2 years from now. I'm not too upset about missing out on it. So these will be the 6 that we will rank. The de facto 7 will be that Helverine figure because I didn't buy it. So technically, if I didn't buy it, I don't think it's as good as these. So we'll go through again from least favorite to favorite. Again, this is just my opinion right here. It's not so much based on necessarily what the best figures are. It's just based on what I think, on what I have here in front of me. And coming in at number 7 on our rankings list is the Weapon of Vengeance Helverine figure. I didn't buy it. I didn't need it. Therefore, it's number 7, because if I'm ranking based on what I think, if I didn't buy it, it must be as good as the other 6. I'm sure it's great. It looks really cool. Again, having the fire coming out of the adamantium skull is very awesome looking. I just don't need it. It didn't have a Build-A-Figure piece. So number 7, Weapon of Vengeance Helverine, because I just didn't buy it. And coming in at number 6 on our top 7 of the BlackHeart wave is going to be Bloodstorm. Does it look cool? Yes, it looks very cool. Vampire version of Storm. I know it's from the comics. I wasn't reading them, but I'm aware of it. It looks really cool. It's an awesome vampire version of Storm. If you read that storyline, I'm sure you're digging this. If you love Storm, I'm sure you're digging this. I'm just not digging it that much. And again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know everything about action figures. However, again, we get the pins in the legs. We do get the pinless arms, but they're single-jointed elbows. I guess I'm being picky right there. You do get 2 head sculpts, which was a nice touch. Alternate hands as accessories were okay. And the head sculpts, again, look really freaking cool, especially the screaming head right here. But I just didn't really necessarily need this in this wave. I feel like if you had the Storm that was in the leathers from back in the day, it's not that different than this one. Let me know in the comments how different it is. But again, having the pins, single-jointed elbows, just feel like it knocks it down on the list. So it's going to come in at number 6. So Bloodstorm at number 6. And coming in at number 5 on our list is the Moonight figure. Okay, I get it. It's West Coast Avengers Moonight. We got the gold on there. We got some pretty cool accessories. Of course, we got those little tiny moon weapons that are super easy to lose. Again, do dig having the bow staff looking thing here with him. It's a very clean, cool looking figure, and it's pinless. So we're getting a pinless Moon Knight right here. We did recently get the Moon Knight retro card Target exclusive, as well as getting that different looking Moon Knight from multiple years ago from the Spider-Man Homecoming wave, I believe it was. I have both of those in my collection. And of course, the Walgreens exclusive is basically the figure we got repacked in that retro card. They're all great, but I don't think any of those are pinless. This one is, so definitely it's a step up in the right direction. However, I don't think the fact that it's pinless makes up for the fact that it should be higher than other figures on this list from this certain Strange Tales wave. Happy to have this. If you have that 5-pack of the West Coast Avengers. I think it was an Amazon exclusive. I totally see why you'd want to pick this up to basically build out the rest of that team. But for me, I'll wait and get basically another Moonight released on this body that's a more traditional Moonight. So coming in at number 5, great figure, just not great enough for me, is Moonight. And coming in at number 4 on our list of this particular Strange Tales wave is Brother Voodoo, more in particular, the Sorcerer Supreme Brother Voodoo. I believe it was either Hickman or Bendis in the New Avengers comic book made him Sorcerer Supreme for a while. Pretty good read back in the day. Also, if you weren't aware, the original version of this figure we most recently got, which I think was the Doctor Strange film wave from the first movie, which seems many, many moons ago now at this point, actually made an appearance in the Haunted Mansion Disney movie from a couple of years ago. There's an actor in the film, a kid in the film, a character playing with him on camera, which is pretty cool, as well as some other Marvel Legends, other action figures. But yeah, this is a cool upgrade. It is a pinless, has pinless elbows, pinless knees, which is an upgrade from the figure we did get back in that Doctor Strange wave. Decent accessories. I like the white paint on the face and in the hair, again, showing off the Sorcerer Supreme look that he had in the New Avengers comic books. And this is where it kind of got hard because Moon Knight also is a great figure. However, I feel like the version that we had most recently of Brother Voodoo was so outdated that we really needed an upgrade of him before we needed an upgrade of Moon Knight. So very excited to get this in the collection for the Sorcerer Supremes and all the different mystics on your shelf. So definitely a decent figure. Coming in at number 4 is going to be Strange Tales BlackHeart Brother Voodoo. And coming in at number 3 is Marvel's Lilith. I feel like this is going to be the selection I take the most crap in the comments about, which is fine. Let me know what your thoughts are. I think a lot of people will put this lower on this wave. I in particular think that the character itself needed to be represented in a wave that does have Dracula and multiple vampires in it. Also, being a Strange Tales wave, this particular comic character fits perfectly. Could they have done a better job? Sure. Could they have sculpted some of those lines as opposed to painting them? Absolutely. However, they did give it to us on the Shriek Buck, so we do get some good articulation, pinless elbows, pinless knees, double jointed elbows. So overall, I feel like the mechanics of the figure are pretty sound, aside from the fact that, again, we could have gotten some more sculpt as opposed to paint on this thing. But I still think it looks pretty cool considering what it is. And again, if you're going to have Dracula in a wave, you got to have Lilith. So coming in at number 3 for the Marvel Legends BlackHeart Strange Tales wave is going to be Lilith. And coming in at number 2 on our list is going to be Damon Hellstrom, son of Satan. Here he is, right out of the comics. Pumped to get this guy. As mentioned earlier in the video, this is another one that we were going to get as a stretch goal, I believe, with the Engine of Vengeance that did not occur, did not get funded. However, this is a much better upgrade from what I understand. I think that that figure was going to have pins in it. This is completely pinless. We're getting the butterfly joints going on right here. The paint on the chest looks clean and fresh. The head sculpt looks pretty awesome. You get the weapon with him. He's obviously not wearing shoes. You get the footsies there as well. But I think he looks pretty great. Again, this is a character that I feel like in a Strange Tales wave, when you get into the mystic arts and all sorts of demonic type comic books, that he needs to be in this wave to be represented. Again, I really like the head sculpt on this thing. Could we have had an alternate head? Maybe him yelling or something? Of course we could have. We always like more heads with our action figures. But overall, I think this guy's pretty great. So great, I put him in at number 2. So that takes us to number 1 on our list. And coming in at number 1 out of all of the 7 action figures in this wave is going to be Marvel's Dracula. If you watched my review on Dracula, you probably weren't going to be shocked he'd be at number 1. I feel like you could really move around most of the other 5 or 6 characters or figures in this countdown up and down in the list if you really want to. Let me know in the comments what you would do. But I feel like Dracula's got to be number 1. We're not including Blackheart in this list, of course, as he is the Build-A-Figure. We'll build him momentarily. But this Dracula's great. I love the freaking cape, how it's tattered. The battle armor looks fantastic. You get a screaming head, a more stoic, serious head. I just like the texture of the armor. The gloves look cool. The gauntlets, you get the sword as a weapon. The earrings are nice. The hair has a nice wash on it. Again, you're getting a figure here that's a character from a very important comic book storyline going on very recently, as early as this past summer, and still going on, I believe. So Dracula, easy number 1 for me. This looks awesome on the shelf. And yet again, for spooky season, this wave coinciding with October release here around Halloween is a great idea. So number 1 from the Blackheart Strange Tales wave is Dracula. Now it's time to build the Build-A-Figure Blackheart. And here it is, the reward for buying all these figures in the wave to get all these BAF pieces, and that is building the Build-A-Figure Blackheart. So excited to finally get this guy after the tease of the HasLab. Always wanted to buy the original version, passed and held off, so I knew eventually we'd probably get him somehow, some way, and here it is. Marvel Legends team did get us our Blackheart, so pumped to have this guy in hand. We're going to build him. We'll take a closer look at him, move him around a little bit, and then compare him to the rest of the figures in this wave. So very pumped. Here we go. Let's get into it. Okay, so kicking it off with the legs, just so you know when you do go to build this, as they tend to do in the past, they do have a letter for what side it's supposed to go on. So there's your L for love. Of course, going to be an L for left. Just pop that on right away here on this side. You will feel the spikes as you're doing this. You're going to see on my hands, I actually have the spike marks from this guy. They are very spiny. Let's got our other leg over on this side and pop that one on as well. Get this guy going here. Got to watch that tail whipping around in the background. Don't knock anything over. You're also not going to get too satisfying of a pop, unfortunately, as you're putting these legs on. It's not so much like the older Legends where it really kind of give you that pop feeling when they did actually eventually sit on there the right way. So there are our legs. He's going to be a tall guy, tall fellow. It's got our other arm. I also did heat these up because these pegs seemed pretty stiff when I was working with them before putting them in. So I would definitely say heat that up ahead of time so you can actually articulate that down once it's in there, because you're going to see it is stiff to move otherwise until you kind of get it manipulated where you do need it right there. It's got our other arm over here. Pop that in. Be careful with the butterflies going on. That one felt like it popped a little bit more secure right there. Okay. And there we go. That one actually articulated down a little bit better. So this one really loosened up when I heated it. This other side, you can still see, is still kind of a little bit high there on the shoulder. And let's get the head and pop that sucker on. This head sculpt is so freaking cool. Look at the eyes, the purple in the hair, multiple layers of hair. Looking so freaking great. So let's pop the head on, finish him off. We also have the alternate hands. All right, that felt like that was a nice smooth pop. I'm going to have to kind of shut the camera off and move him around a little bit here because he is a pretty tall guy with that tail. Let's do it. And I had to show you this. If you can see it on my hands, those spikes really pushed in. It didn't really hurt necessarily, obviously, but you felt those spikes, those spikies, as you're pushing those parts together. So I'm glad I cut the camera, because if you didn't notice, I actually turned off the rotating base. His tail is going to make it impossible for me to rotate him around with my entire display in the background for my review table. The tail is a bendy wire tail, but you're not going to get this thing to come like all the way to the front and out of the way. You can kind of get it there to start, and it's going to kind of work its way back. So you can see I kind of got it around a little bit here, and it's going to stay, but it does start to slowly work its way back. Also, the tail does make it a little bit harder to get him to pose and to stand. You could definitely do it, or you can either use the tail to balance. Like right there, he's standing fine. The tail's not supporting him whatsoever. But be careful with that tail. It is cool that it's bendy wire. Also, for the tail, it does not articulate like in a circle or anything like that. Again, for the tail, it is just in a fixed position, but again, you can bend it around. So kind of doing this a little bit differently than usual, not really segments, just kind of going right into it. So right away, aesthetics of this guy are amazing. There's a purple kind of hue going on as I rotate the light here in the hair, which looks so freaking great. Looking at the face sculpt itself, those red eyes are awesome. I know the red eyes weren't in all of the different character designs in the comics, but this is the one I wanted, was the red eyes. Also, across this entire thing, as I mentioned, as I was putting it together and building it, are these freaking spikes. They look awesome. Just the texture on this guy is really, honestly, next level. And the spikes are legit. Like, even just doing this, you're going to feel that. It's going to leave marks on your hand. So, in a way, I can almost see why you couldn't put this out at retail, because if kids did get their hands on this, it's not going to actually hurt anybody necessarily, but they're going to feel it. Now, the spikes here on the tail, they're obviously a little bit more rubbery, because it is a bendy wire tail, so those aren't going to feel those as much. But these spikes are literally throughout the entire figure, all the way up and down the arms and the legs, even the back of the calves have them. The only part that doesn't really seem to have them is the feet, but you're really going to notice this when you do kind of get your hands on this guy and start to feel it around a little bit. Even the shoulders have them, obviously the head, and actually the chin, even the chin has them right here. So the spikes are all over this guy, so it's pretty freaking crazy. He is going to look sick on your shelf. Again, just be careful when you're posing him around with that tail. Because of the feet as a base and the tail, you kind of have to counterbalance him to get him to stand the way you want to, and I would not put him on a rotating base anytime soon, folks. In terms of articulation of this guy, the head will rotate left and right, and if you really want to make it work all the way around, you can. I'm not going to do this so I don't scuff it up at all, but you can see you can kind of work the hair to go right there. The head will get some tilt and attitude to the sides, like so it will tilt that way. It's, again, the hair is going to kind of bring it back a little bit, but it's definitely there in the design for it to do it. Shoulders will rotate all the way around. You can work them up a little bit higher, but you're going to want to be careful with those spikes. So the spikes do start to get kind of tucked underneath. You don't want to scrape anything up too bad right there. And you can kind of see too, that's still a little bit tight getting it in there. It is on a double jointed pinless elbow right there. We do have the upper bicep swivel and cut going on. Hand will rotate all the way around. It's on a left and right hinge. As far as the legs are concerned, upper thigh cut. I'm really feeling those spikies. I haven't watched many reviews, so I'm curious if other people are noticing that as well. Double jointed, pinless knee right there. Pop that back down. There's no boot cut because there's no boot. The foot will swivel. It's also on a rocker. It will go down very far. It will go up also very far. Just be careful you position that back down for him to stand well enough. He will kick forward very, very high. Let's check that out, how high of a kick he's going to have. He will kick back a little bit to get him in a bit of a walking pose if he wanted to. Splits very, very far. Look at those splits on that guy. Torso is really great. So what you're going to get here in the torso, you get this cut down here at the waist. So he's going to come very far forward with that cut down there in the waist. And then obviously if you use the head, he can get down even further. As far as how far back he's going to go, at least with the cut, you can see that articulation very far back. But then you also get the diaphragm articulation. This will go in a circle like so, about that far to that side, about that far to that side. So again, working with the diaphragm and then that articulation, that's why he's going to bend so far forward and then again, so far back. Also, I didn't mention he does have butterfly joints here in the shoulders that you can obviously also articulate. So it's going to go about, get the hair out of the way, pretty far back. Again, the hair is going to somewhat get in your way. And as far how forward across the middle, not too far because of how bulky the arm's going to be. But you do have all that in there for the articulation, which is pretty well done. So yeah, I'm thinking this guy's pretty great. I talked about the tail already. It is bendy wire, but it's not going to be like wrap it around him kind of bendy wire. But this guy's freaking cool. All sorts of articulation. He's a big chunky dude. And again, I can't stress it enough, the spikes. And being thorough, there are also pig holes at the bottom of the feet. And check this out. There are even little spikies on his butt. Sharp. And as I mentioned when we were building him, he also does have the alternate hands. He has the kind of pointing hand going on right here, the pointing finger, which looks pretty cool. And then he also does get an alternate punching hand. And these are both on the, looks to be left and right. Yeah, they're both in the left and right or horizontal hinges. And getting the comparisons from this wave itself, here is BlackHeart Build-A-Figure as compared to both Lilith and the Bloodstorm, the female figures of the wave. And BlackHeart as compared to my favorite two standard figures that came within this wave, the Damon Hellstrom and also the Dracula. So one comparison I was dying to make was compare BlackHeart, the Build-A-Figure, to the new Punisher from the Warzone 2-pack. This is the Juggernaut brown suit Wolverine, and then the original Ghost Rider that came on a bike for Hasbro. Reason being, great comic from back in the day, Hearts of Darkness, starring Wolverine, Ghost Rider, Punisher, where they all did basically together fight against, you guessed it, BlackHeart with his red eyes. Read this book. Kind of feel like it's a rite of passage as a comic book reader. And BlackHeart as compared to three most recent Marvel Legends releases, being the Luke Cage and Iron Fist 2-pack, and also the Target exclusive Warbird / Ms. Marvel. And here is BlackHeart as compared to the Iron Man retro-carded She-Hulk from this year, and also one of the only other few Build-A-Figures from this year, Marvel Legends Zabu. And two of the beefier Marvel Legends in my collection, here is the Build-A-Figure Kingpin, and also the Target exclusive Red Hulk. Some non-Marvel Legends, but Hasbro. We do have G.I. Joe Classified Quick Kick, and also the Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And I feel like some Capcom fans might like to see Blackheart as compared to the Jada Toys Street Fighter II Ryu, and bringing back one more Marvel Legend right here. This is the Cable from that Zabu Build-A-Figure wave. Are we getting more of the Capcom versus Marvel Legends figures down the road? Let me know in the comments. Bringing in two other action figure lines and companies, here is the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Big Bad Mother Fragger, which is a 7-inch scale figure, by the way, and also the Mo2 Beast Man that I got at Target for $4.99. And last, and as everybody loves to say, certainly not least, here is the new Marvel Legends Strange Tales Build-A-Figure Wave Build-A-Figure Blackheart as compared to the AEW Unrivaled Jazzwares Orange Cassidy. I think Orange might have had one too many gummy bears when you start seeing this guy show up in his dreams. Or should I say, his nightmares. So that's going to do it for our rankings and build of the Marvel Legends Strange Tales Blackheart action figure wave by Hasbro. Pretty great wave. Again, not all home runs, but definitely a fun, interesting, eclectic wave thrown together here, getting us our Blackheart Build-A-Figure, which so many of us definitely wanted. Dracula, again, easily to me, the best figure in this wave. Let me know down below in the comments, what do you think of Blackheart? Are you looking to pick him up? Let me know what you think about my rankings. You know, should I rank somebody higher, somebody lower? Let me know your thoughts. That's the fun thing about action figures. Nobody's wrong. It's all about just having fun and talking about things that we enjoy. Just as a reminder, this wave will not be showing up at big box locations. You will not see it at Target or your Walmarts. It is fan channel, Hasbro Pulse, and also going to be on Amazon where I got all of mine, and also comic book and toy retailers like your local comic book shop, CMD store, and other places like that. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you're new, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It is free for you, does not cost you anything, and it helps us grow the channel tremendously in the march to 7,000 subscribers. While you're at it, go ahead and click that bell for notifications, because that way YouTube should notify you and tell you when we post new content here to the channel, like our weekly toy hunts, reviews, and live streams. Leave a comment down below, hit that like button, and for daily toy content and daily toy updates, try checking us out over at Instagram and Twitter at Disavowed_12. Hey everybody, if you're going toy hunting this week, please try to remember the 3 P's of the toy hunt: patience, persistence, and most of all, politeness. Take care, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing all of you at the pegs.